As we continue to mark World Refugee Day today, let's take a look at the role of social cohesion in making sure that those who are left to their countries due to war, persecution or natural disasters feel welcome and safe on the continent. For more on this, we are joined by Prince Africa Zulu via Skype from Durban in Kwazulu-Natal. He has been spearheading a number of social cohesion projects around the country. A very good afternoon to you, Prince, and thank you so very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Thank you very much for having me. Good afternoon to the viewers and to you, madam.
Yeah, I'd like to start here. We're really in the midst of a global pandemic, and it really is important to discuss the plight of refugees during COVID-19 pandemic. They don't really have the kind of choices that we have where they'll be able to, social distance and all of those things. They find themselves wherever they find themselves. And, I'm concerned about the fact that there is no protection for them. There is no help for them. Can you talk to us about displaced people and refugees and how really they're coping or perhaps not coping during this time of a pandemic?
My sister, this is the most difficult time for black men everywhere in the world. I think we have all witnessed brutality, police brutality in the United States and other parts of the world. And we've seen a number of Africans being evicted in China and elsewhere. And we continue to give the red carpet to the world citizens and the world leaders of those countries. Africa now needs to wake up. Our capacity is in the diaspora, and we need to face that, and we need to know that we need to start doing something and putting structures that will allow the image and the dignity of a black man to carry a lot of weight in this world. Because you see how the Europeans are treating us, they are treating the way we are treating our own brothers and sisters. And in this case, our own African Union has no capacity to actually deal with this issue of displacement of people. And we have failed them. We have failed our people in a number of occasions. When we have failed to secure our borders, we had to withhold with the ones with all the resources, with the ones with all the gold. So our people are victims of all this gold rush and diamond rush around the world. We are at a point where the capital system is now showing us that this is not our way of life. We can never proceed like this. It is failing us, and through this system, it actually allows other people to capture us. So we become a cultured continent. We have had a lot of voices, a lot of shout-outs from former ambassador of the African Union herself, where she was pleading with the world leaders, pleading with our kings, pleading with all our community role leaders, say, let us do something. It seems the African child, the African descended black men are really in trouble around the world. They have no place. And if you look at the case of Cape Town, yes, they are exercising all the bylaws of the country and of the city and so on. But we all know that all these laws, they are just designed by design. They are just the extension of the 1884 Berlin Conference, where the whole European powers decided that they're going to come and loot over Africa, where the King of Congo came and looted, where he owned the whole country. And right now, we are still battling with food security at this age where we claim to have celebrated and got our freedom in 1994. Little did we get anything to do with economic independence. And
you're stressing the point of social cohesion and the role of social cohesion in making sure that those that are left to be refugees feel welcome and safe on the continent. Talk about your work around or spearheading efforts around social cohesion, particularly in this country.
Yes. No. On social cohesion, it all depends, my sister, on the capacity. These are all about economy. You see, there is no social cohesion without economy. All these things is about resources. When certain people are seen as an expert. But we have been doing a lot of lobbying on the ground in putting our people together. But all the social cohesion effort that we do cannot really help if we got Africans that are homeless. This is what I'm trying to say. You cannot really talk of social cohesion when we've got street kids on the road whose mother is coming from Kenya who came to look for a job. So we have to look at the reality and tackle the first issues, which is security, giving security to those people who are seeking asylum seekers in this country. And then we need to now collaborate our efforts. When we have social cohesion programs for all our countries, provinces, for the 9 provinces, it is now more vital that we now need to start thinking about involving the Kenyans that are here because they are now part of our community. Nigerians that are here that are now part of our community. And we also need to go further in starting engagement where we can start talking to our government to say that how can the policies accommodate our brothers and sisters so that we can be able to fully say we have a social cohesion. Because right now, the social cohesion is only evangelism that we can only talk within those people who have homes, those people who got food. People who are on the street who don't even know where to live. It will be a taboo to even talk to them about social cohesion.
Yeah, you talk about resources. You started your sentence by talking about resources, and I wonder, what must governments really do? And I mean, I'm not specifically just talking about the South African government. They must deal with the plight of their own vulnerable citizens, and in this country there are very many vulnerable citizens of the country. Those resources are limited, and I think you touched on that briefly. But you're also now saying that those host countries and those governments must then also, divide those resources up to refugees and displaced people. How, when their own people are struggling, when their own people are vulnerable, sometimes even more vulnerable in their own circumstances, in their own countries, to these situations that we're seeing. I mean, look at the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic. It has really shown and highlighted the vulnerability of so many in our country and in different societies within our country. So how do you foresee this playing out? How do you foresee governments really dividing up the little that is available to divide up?
It's very easy, but right now we must face the reality that is faced by our government. Unfortunately, our government does not communicate such challenges. You see, when our government go and borrow money for infrastructure to this World Bank and IMF, they have certain conditions which are often put under structural adjustment plan or program. And this is where it becomes very hard because the subsidy that goes towards the welfare of the local people is get cut, and it becomes very hard. So, and some of the economies are seeming to be doing better, prospering. So you're always going to find that movement of people. So that one will never end. But we just need that the AU find a way to prioritize the welfare of our people, the housing of our people. It must become a basic right. We must give those rights to our people. We must give dignity to our children. We must make sure that the education happens. We must make sure that there is no spacing of our families around the continent where there are resources. Places where there are more resources like diamonds and gold and all these things should be well guarded. And I think that it's a plan that won't take place overnight, but it's a conversation that we need to have as Africans to say how do we utilize, how do we really reduce the exporting our raw commodities and depending on this process material that comes back to us that we can afford, and today take away jobs, and today it cripbles Africa because we are now a crippled society, and we're going to keep on blaming our leaders. And a lot of it's got nothing to do with our leaders. It's got to do with we as a continent. We have inherited systems because if you're looking at the way we got our freedom and independence, and there was nothing about economic liberation in terms of our people, where our people can actually enjoy to be at a dinner table. Right now, we've got the whole continent sitting at the dinner table, but all the black people, they don't have fork and knife. And it's a very, very, very sad day for a continent. And we have to talk about these things without having to look for a scapegoat. And we have to take initiative to say we have a manpower, the skills in the diaspora. The Africans that are around the world, they have to come back to Africa. We have to make that call for them to come back and reinvest their money in Africa and rebuild Africa and come and pay their taxes in the continent. And we've got to open Africa up to be able to trade on its own. And we've got to deal with the issue of food security, where we can increase our subsidies on farmers and also increase our capacity to train the black farmers so that we can have more of our black farmers making food for our people.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking to us, Prince Africa Zulu, joining us via Skype from Durban in KZN. We do appreciate your time here on SABC News. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you.